During the last 3 days, the Israeli Defense Forces have deployed an intense operation in the territory of Gaza, using their infantry and tanks, creating a chaotic situation in the region. Despite this assault, Israel faces stubborn resistance in this contest. In their last incursion into the Gaza Strip almost a decade ago, Israeli troops managed to considerably weaken Hamas's fighting force. At that time, they dismantled tunnel systems and blocked smuggling routes, depriving the Islamist group of a substantial part of its missile arsenal as it retreated. However, in this new incursion, Israel encounters a reinforced enemy that is rearming with support from Iran. Since the beginning of this operation, Hamas has counterattacked the Israeli army with drones loaded with explosives, anti-tank missiles, and highly destructive rockets, comparable in power to the weapons used in conflicts such as those in Ukraine. This situation has prevented Israel from achieving a definitive victory so far. With 26 deaths in just 1 week of operations, the fatality rate among Israelis is more than double compared to 2014, when 67 people died during an operation that lasted 7 weeks. Avi Melamed, a former Israeli intelligence official, has noted that this indicates that Israel must prepare for a protracted conflict. Melamed highlights that Hamas has acquired significant military power thanks to Iran's backing. Amid this growing tension, the Israeli military continues to rely on its robust intelligence network, developed over years like an intricate spider web. In its efforts, the Israeli military seeks to carry out the majority of its attacks in areas where Hamas militant leaders have a presence. Just today, Israeli troops carried out actions with this same purpose. According to reports from the Hamas media office in Gaza, an airstrike hit the residence of exiled Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh, located in the Shati refugee camp north of Gaza City. No details have been provided about the damage or possible victims, and there have been no immediate reports of comment. Amid the escalation of tensions, a senior Hamas official, Ghazi Hamad, confirmed that the residence hit by the airstrike was inhabited by 2 of Haniyeh's sons. Located on a narrow street within the overcrowded Gaza City refugee camp, this area has been home to generations of residents. Haniyeh, a former advisor to Hamas founder Ahmed Jassin, who was the victim of an Israeli airstrike in 2004, has lived in exile since 2019. Defense Minister Yoav Gallant issued a statement following the attack, stating that our forces will reach Hamas terrorist leader Yahya Sinwar and eliminate him. At the end of this conflict, Hamas will no longer have a presence in Gaza. There is no threat to Israel's security from the Gaza Strip. Israel will have complete freedom to implement the necessary security measures against any entity that represents a threat. These comments came in a context in which Israel intensified its ground operation in Gaza, managing to attack and dismantle crucial elements of Hamas, including vital infrastructure and key personnel over the weekend. The night attacks also affected peripheral areas of the city, including near the Al-Quds hospital. Adli Abu Taha, a resident of Gaza City and a hospitalized patient for the past 3 weeks, reported that shelling has repeatedly struck near the hospital in recent days. Taha expressed his uncertainty about the constant threat, mentioning that the bombing feels increasingly closer, generating a sense of insecurity among hundreds of thousands of Palestinians who remain in the city and northern Gaza. Israel believes Hamas has extensive military infrastructure within the city, including a network of underground tunnels, bunkers, and command centers. The city is currently under siege by Israeli forces, who are urging residents to move south to avoid getting caught up in the fighting. Despite warnings, Israel has continued its attacks in the south, claiming to be targeting members of Hamas, although these actions have also claimed the lives of families in Gaza. Matar, sheltered in a school in the southern city of Khan Yunis after fleeing to the north at the start of the conflict, described hearing explosions from the airstrikes. Matar described a situation of constant insomnia among the population, with explosions that seemed to have no end. According to United Nations reports, approximately 1.5 million people in Gaza, representing 70% of the population, have abandoned their homes. Over the weekend, an airstrike in central Khan Yunis devastated a family home. Rescue teams recovered 3 bodies and treated 6 injured people in the rubble, according to a cameraman present at the scene, including the unfortunate loss of a minor. The Israeli army reported that its ground forces are now active in the south, with armor and engineering units working to neutralize booby traps in buildings during the operation. They reported a confrontation with fighters who came out of a tunnel and were confronted by Israeli soldiers. In addition, they highlighted that forces in the northern Gaza Strip were subject to multiple attacks from underground tunnels. Clashes along Israel's northern border persisted throughout the weekend, after the Israeli military claimed to have attacked a Hezbollah observation post and militant cells in Lebanon attempting to launch attacks against Israel. During the war, Israel and Hamas ally Hezbollah have exchanged fire almost daily on the Lebanese border, raising fears about the opening of a new front. Recently, Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah gave his first public speech since the start of the conflict. His speech, both for what he said and for what he omitted, was of great importance. He stressed that there was no declaration of all-out war against Israel. At least not at that time, something few in Lebanon expected. Nasrallah recognizes his country's reluctance toward another conflict with his powerful neighbor, recalling the last confrontation in 2006. The Lebanese already face multiple challenges, from a failing economy to structural problems in their political system. The recent deployment of 2 U.S. aircraft carriers to the eastern Mediterranean is an additional deterrent. Nasrallah broadcast his speech via video link from a hidden location, certain that his words would not only be heard by his followers, but also in Tel Aviv and Washington. What Hezbollah decides to do now may be crucial. The Hezbollah leader has mentioned that all options are on the table and added that the situation could escalate militarily at any time. He indicated that this development will depend on Israel's actions in Gaza and its approach towards Lebanon. Hezbollah is putting increased pressure on Israel by increasing its cross-border attacks, prompting the Israeli military to deploy troops to the region. However, Hamas seeks greater commitment from its ally. On certain occasions, the religious leader seemed almost defensive regarding the actions carried out by his combatants so far. What is happening on our front is extremely important and significant. To those suggesting that Hezbollah should quickly engage in an all-out conflict, he said, "The enemy may consider what happens on the border to be minimal. However, adopting an objective perspective, the importance of these events is recognized." Over the past few weeks, 57 Hezbollah fighters have lost their lives. In line with this, he hinted at the possibility of further escalation. "I can tell you that this will not be the last." Furthermore, Hassan Nasrallah stressed that Hamas's initial attacks were exclusively a Palestinian operation and are not related to any regional or international issues. During a rally in the southern suburbs of Beirut, crowds gathered under the intense sun chanting slogans in support of Nasrallah. There are signs that suggest that, for now, Hezbollah plans to leave the fight in Gaza in the hands of Hamas, although this calculation could quickly change if Hamas finds itself cornered. If Israel achieves a victory in Gaza, the cost could be a much broader conflict with Hezbollah. We appreciate your attention and follow-up.